You can be good, but that's not going to take you to the next level. So I'm going to assume you're already good, but you sense inside that there's a restlessness and there's a struggle there that you don't know what that breakthrough feels like. But you're very aware there's next level. You have a dream, you have something you want to achieve. So let's just dial in.
I think you got to have a dream.
The School of Greatness.
Really?
Yeah.
Please welcome Lewis Howes.
The mission has always been change people's lives in whatever modality I could figure out or learn to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do.
That's it. It's the key. And you've done, I think you said you did like 15 or 17 seven-figure launches in a row online.
28.
My numbers are off here. 28.
The only reason I do that because we had to make a presentation for the Influencer Magazine thing, and we were trying to like talk about it, and it was 28 seven-figure online launches.
Crazy.
19 of them were in a row. So that
19 in a row. Wow.
That 2009 to 2015, we kind of defined the game for launching, especially personal development online courses. There were a lot of people teaching marketing or launches or how to do a seminar or something like that. But we were like, personal development is harder to sell.
It's harder to sell, man. It's harder to sell high ticket too.
Yeah.
It's harder to sell. So you've been doing that. You've helped so many people launch their brands from their influence, because there's a lot of influencers in the world who are really great at creating content that goes viral, that attracts an audience, and then grow an audience, and they have no clue how to make money.
That's it.
They're broke, but they're changing the world, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're broke and they have millions of followers.
They think they're changing the world. It's like you're going to need a business and a movement to change the world.
That's true.
And that's what they're like, well, I'm changing the world. Like, no, you're popular.
Right.
But to actually change the world and change people, you need a curriculum. You need to be able to give them empowerment and tools to be able to help to do that. And if you're going to actually make it, I always tell people, you can't sustain the mission if you don't make the money. Which was a big thing for me because I came from nothing, you know my background a little bit. Growing up in Montana, we just had nothing.
Yeah.
We grew up in poverty. My parents working super hard between the, two of them to raise us 4 kids. Literally, till this day, I have no idea how they did it.
Yeah.
So my ambition was like, maybe someday I can make $40,000 because the richest people in our town didn't make that kind of money. But that also can get in the way, because sometimes people set their ambitions or their financial hopes based on where they grew up, and they let their past or their current circumstances dictate the dreams for the finances they want in the future. And then what happens? They do something and it becomes really popular. And they're like, oh, this is working. And the number count they're watching is the fans and the followers, which is great. But what I'm always saying is like, please make sure you build a business, because if suddenly you're not as popular or you go broke or something happens, God forbid, if you haven't built the infrastructure to carry your message, then you're not being a responsible messenger. An influencer without a business is a popular person who's busy.
Yeah, all the time. And stressed because they're not making any money, they can't pay their rent.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with Jay Shetty about this about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Because I was always trying to push him to earn more. But he was like, I'm happy with like just making, I don't know, I think it was like $100,000 or maybe a few $100,000, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure the exact number, but he was like, I never felt like I needed to make more money, because I felt like I just want to serve people. I want to give as much as I can.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you're really doing a disservice unless you start earning more, because you can hire more people and transform those lives.
Right.
You can use the resources to create bigger projects, bigger production of movies and videos that can then infect people in a positive way.
Yeah, people have to get out of their way about money.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest thing. Trust me, it was like, there were parts of, when we did our first launch, when we did our first seminar, afterwards I went broke. Because I didn't know how to do it. Didn't know so much, just completely went broke. Had to live with my girlfriend, who's now Denise, my wife. And she was buying my groceries, she was supporting me. She was kind of the only person who knew what I wanted to do, and really the only person believing and cheering it on. I had that great support.
Wow.
I always say, people say, you're so lucky, but I'm like, I am. I had a car accident that smacked me in the head and made me say, I want to live my life. Luck number 1. Luck number 2, great parents. Luck number 3, a girl that believed in me when I didn't even quite believe in myself.
Wow.
What
year was this?
I met Denise in 2003.
Wow.
So we were together 5 years and I proposed, so we've been together a long time.
Wow.
But I remember even sitting there when I was, bankrupt, and she's, sleeping in the bed, and I'm on this little desk and next to the bed, and I'm writing, and all my bills and my paperwork and my vision boards were on the bed. And as I'm typing, she comes over and crawls under the covers to go to bed, and I look over and it's my woman sleeping under my bills, like literally. And I would say none of us want to be responsible for the pain in other people's lives because of our own inaction. I just hadn't taken action, but I just didn't have any attachment to money my whole life, even now. I mean, you've seen what we do on our big trips. So like, let's go. I mean, I go crazy.
Helicopters and this.
Whatever. It's like, have a great time because I don't have an attachment to it. Yeah. But what I do have an attachment to is the mission. And I want to help people achieve their goals faster. I want to help people realize they have a second chance on this planet every day that they wake up. And if you have a second chance every day, that's like evergreen. Every day is your life's golden ticket. You know, you get to choose when you woke up this morning, what's my attitude gonna be, how I'm gonna treat people, what I'm gonna focus on, what I'm gonna make happen, how I feel. Like, we get to choose these things to like an extraordinary extent. So my whole thing is like, hey, you have a second chance. Use that. And this time in your second chance, in your next relationship, in the next job, and the next moment, be more intentional. Mm-hmm. Be more service driven. You know, lead with more heart. You know, make sure you're doing things that bring you meaning. Yeah. And if I really believe that as I tell it to you, then I would have to build the infrastructure to sustain it. Yeah. That's where the business thing comes in. I had to go, all right. And there was nothing about this business I was attracted to. Like, literally.
You're very introverted.
Very introverted. Like, I'm still, you know, I'm awkward even right now. I'm awkward in a meeting. Like, you've been with me on a deck by a pool. I'm different. I'm more relaxed a little bit. But I had to learn everything. I had to learn how to speak. I was terrified of public speaking. Mm-hmm. I had to learn how to do video, which was a super awkward, hard thing. Yeah. Now we've had 250 million video views, but the number I'm really proud of is 15 million hours of my online training has been watched. Wow. 15 million hours. That's a lot of Brendon. That's annoying. But you know, that's instruction, no cat videos, no memes, no reposting other people's stuff. That's like online training content. 15 million hours. So that's a lot of teaching. We have 27 online courses. 27 I've done. And I was terrified of video. I had to learn podcasting. I had to learn how to write books. But all I had was, after my car accident, I said, I want to inspire people to understand we all have life's golden ticket. We have a second chance. We can all live, love, and matter if we make that our intention. So let's start measuring ourselves and being more purposeful. And then I had to figure out how to do it. Well, you have to master your mindset. You have to master your habits. You have to be better in your relationships. You have to live for something. Mm-hmm. And
optimize your health. Yeah.
Yes. So if I really believed in that, I had to step back at some point and not go, what are my strengths? Because my strengths were, you know, sitting on a couch and eating Cheetos. It's like, at some point you go, no, what is I want to be of service to? High performers don't often ask, just what are my strengths? I'll just do that. They say, what is required to be of service here? And let me grow into that. I had to grow into a business owner. Like, I had to grow into a communicator. I had to grow into a writer and a podcaster. I didn't know how to do any of that. I just had something I wanted to share and teach the world. I had to learn how to be a researcher and conduct like original full-scale psychological research, which was high performance habits. Like, I didn't know how to do any of that. But if you believe you have a message in your heart, you'll know that you have to build the infrastructure for it. Mm-hmm. So, because if you don't make the money, you can't sustain the message.
It's hard, yeah. It's hard.
Your advising to Jay is really great because he's doing great now because he's changed that approach.
He has, and now he still cares about impacting as many people as possible, but he knows that the business model needs to be there, and he's been crushing it on both sides. Yeah. You know, he's been doing amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Now, this is all about becoming an influencer, and you've got an event coming up, and you've got a whole magazine, influencer event in 2019 coming up in October.
Yeah.
October
10 through 12 in San Diego is the first big influencer event for our industry.
Now, who should be thinking about becoming an influencer, and who is it for and who is it not for? Because you're the introverted guy, so if you're introverted and you're scared and you've never spoken before, you've never written a book, should you even be thinking, maybe this is for me or maybe it isn't?
Yeah, I'm just thinking in my head as you're saying that, how many of our friends and fans are like, Brendon's not introverted.
I know.
But I always say, listen, you can't write 6 books and not be an introvert. Yeah. You know, you can't sit and do the hundreds of hours of curriculum development without being introverted. No, I think introverts can come, extroverts can come. It's somebody who says, you know what? I want to be a person of influence in the world where I'm affecting positive change. Mm. And you want to figure out how to have a career doing that. It's those two things. First is the heart and the soul of it. It's like, I want to create positive change. I want to be a role model. And I would say, no one seeks to become an expert or a thought leader, which is what we used to call it. You know, now we just call it influencer. But no one seeks to become an influencer unless in some way they have the role model mindset. That mindset that says, you know what, I want to do good and have other people see that and maybe inspire them.
Yeah.
You know, I want to lead my life in a way that's an example for other people. And as soon as you decide to adopt the role model mindset, where you say, I want to be an example for other people, it requires you to do the hard stuff.
It does.
To work out.
Stuff you don't want to do.
So you don't want to do. You don't want to work out. Right? You don't want to push yourself. You don't want to, but to be a role model, you have to demonstrate integrity and discipline and service. And most people, they won't challenge themselves that much. So I think first is the role model mindset. So first, I have that. I want to affect positive change. I want to be a role model for other people. I want to inspire people. I want people to see the passions I have and maybe learn from those passions. And I want to give people, you know, empowerment. And then the other side of it is, oh, well, I wonder how I do that and get paid as a career. Because while influencer is like the popular word right now, this industry has been there. Right. For hundreds of years with publishing, right? It's just changed now. Influencers sit on top of more publishing platforms than we used to have access to.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we're still publishing content. We're still promoting and pushing work out into the world. But people go, well, how do you make money? Well, now you can earn money in so many ways.
So many ways.
The problem is most influencers come up today think they're going to earn money just by doing brand deals. And I'm going to get popular and do brand deals. I'm like, oh, they don't understand the model. It's like, you know, we say in Montana, where I'm from, the time to have the map is before you enter the woods.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you're trying to figure out the influencer space and you want to know all 12 major ways to monetize your voice, your content, your message, your brand, you should learn that as a menu before you pick one. And most people are earning like this much when they could be earning 10 or 12 times more if they just understood the model, but they think they're so clever and they're inventing this.
Right.
Like I know so many people think, oh, we're not, you know, I'm original, I'm doing this. I'm like, this was here before you know what I mean? Just you and me too. Like we rode in on giant shoulders.
Yeah.
And so I think it's for people who really have those two things.
But there's more money to be made now as an influencer than there ever was before.
Yeah.
There's more opportunities, there's more models for making money, different methods. And you've got a couple of key themes and a framework on becoming an influencer, figuring out your message, the model, the mechanisms, everything. And I want to kind of break them down. The first thing you talk about is the message, is getting clear on your message, is what I'm assuming, right? As an influencer, is it important to know what your message is? And how do you find your message if you're trying to become an influencer?
Yeah, because the death of most influencers, they don't realize is their randomness.
Right.
You know, they're just excited. I'm going to post everything, you know, or I'm going to talk about everything. But they've never created a cohesive message that their audience goes, I get her. I understand her. It's not like you have to say the same thing over and over and over. But there has to be something that means something to you. Like, one thing I admire about what you do, buddy, is how you talk about greatness. That theme and that messaging is so tight. And honestly, over the last 3 years when I listened to your show, I'm like, he's just dialing this in, right? You know your word choice now. You know your phrases. You know what you're saying. It's not just being repetitive on those. It's just, that's who you are. And that integrity of your message is being shown. So you better be intentional about the kind of person you're trying to become. Because most people think about message, they go, oh, so I need to have a mission statement, Brendon? I'm like, no. You are the message. The integrity of who you are and how you show up energetically and how you treat other people, that's the message.
The role model mentality.
Yes.
You become the role model of your message.
That's it.
Yeah,
because that's what integrity is. It's like people are going to watch you and go, are you congruent here and there? And if you're not, it's like that message feels funny to them. But you and I both know a lot of influencers, they've never done any deep introspection. Yeah. They've put on 50 different clothes and, you know, beautiful Instagram things, but they don't know who they are.
Yeah. Or they got the mental health challenge, which is what we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But the message, getting clear on your message and kind of the theme of your brand, the theme of your influence, I think is key.
Yeah.
And this cannot, listen, it doesn't mean you have to be a perfect human being. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to learn, you're going to grow, but it's like trying to be congruent with your message consistently. For you, you know, it's high performance habits. For your book, you talk about it in your podcast, you talk about it in your events, you live that and you showcase that.
Yeah.
For me with greatness, it's kind of like, what are the core themes of living a great life and business, health, relationships, and everything involved. And it's trying to do the best to live that all the time and talk about it consistently.
Yeah.
So
including the failures.
Absolutely.
Like that's part of it.
Showcasing the failures. I think when influencers showcase their mistakes and failures, it makes them more real, more likable.
Yeah, that's why everyone likes me, because I'm a hot mess all the time.
Exactly. So you got to get clear on the message first. Do you have a mechanism for, it's like, well, I kind of like everything. Like, how do you figure out what your message is? Is there a process, or just like some journaling that you could share with people?
Yeah. I mean, first sitting down and saying, what do you want to be a role model on? Like, if you want to be a role model, what is it about? Is it and how does that translate into a person's real life? Like, what would you say to an actual person to help them or inspire them? And you just have to start writing those words. Like, what would I say? Like, what would I say? It's that old thing of like, what if you could put a message on a billboard, or if something was written on your tombstone, like what are those things?
Yeah.
For me, like a lot of people know, it's like live, love, and matter.
Yeah.
Because when I faced my death as a 19-year-old kid, I was like, oh, I learned I really want to live life. I learned that because I was a heartbroken kid, I wanted to love again and feel my heart again. I learned that life is super short, so you better make your difference. So live, love, and matter became central to everything I did for 15 years. Yeah. Like every message revolved around that, because that was me, and that was a unique experience I had. I think a lot of people have to go and dig down deep into their experiences of their life and say, what were some of the gifts of the lessons that I learned? So some of the awful things that happened to us, or the challenging things, those struggles, there's a story there, and that story can reveal some lessons or things that you might be a role model to for people. And it doesn't have to be so finite that it's like, this is it forever. Because you'll keep evolving, you'll keep learning. But there's hints there, and you can go dig into your past to find some of those hints. You can also just ask, well, what are the passions that I really feel in my heart that I just want to communicate right now? Some people it's like, well, that's fashion for them. Some people it's health for them.
Being a mom.
Being a mom, being an educator, just showing everyday life. That's fine, because ultimately, again, you are the message. So the most important thing isn't to figure out like, what am I going to say? It's the most important thing is, who are you?
Who are you is the key.
Dig deep, man.
Asking that question.
Yes. Who are you? One of the things we do is I ask people, come up with 3 words that describe the best of who you are.
That's
like
great.
these are aspirational words. If you could think of like 3 words when I'm at my best, these 3 words really define me.
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, now figure out what are 3 words that really describe the best of you when you're with other people. Like, how do you treat them? And then what I have them do is I literally have them program in their phone as an alarm.
Clock, right? Yeah, I have that in my alarm. Still 8:30.
You still do?
Yeah. Which I need to change to like 6:30, but it's like an 8:30.
That's it.
Reminder.
Mine's still in here. I've been doing this for whatever. There was my 9 a.m. Dynamic, bold, and confident, and that was for today, because I was like, I'm usually a little more reserved in Lewis's interviews because he's the man. Be a little more bold and confident.
I have loving, giving, achiever.
That's it.
Loving, giving, achiever.
See?
So I could probably change that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I switch mine every week, but.
So 3 words that you would describe as yourself, and then 3 words that you would want other people to describe you as, or that you would describe yourself.
Yeah. So 3 words you describe yourself as, like the best of who you are.
Yeah.
And that's just you, like your identity. And then the other one is more like relationships. Like 3 words to describe how you are with other people. For example, my word there, bold. Like that can describe me as a person, how I think, but I wouldn't want you to ever go, well, Brendon, when he's with me, he's real bold. That's different. No. Like how you are with other people should have a certain definition and description, and how you are by yourself should have a certain, and that's how you start to get to know yourself. Like, oh, I'm like this as a person, and with other people, I'm like this as a person. And
it's like shaping your own internal identity of your qualities.
Yeah.
And reminding yourself of who you are.
Labeling yourself a little bit in a positive way.
Yeah.
Because most people, they take the labels the world gave them. Oh, you're just the athlete, Lewis.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If you just took that and that was all you ever owned and you never explored beyond that, we wouldn't be here.
That's true.
Right? We're here because you explored who am I, and you are still doing that. So am I. Like, it's not like it's a thing that stops, but people want to see you working that through.
I think like 15, 20 years ago, like in my teens, I used to say like, man, you suck to myself all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you're a loser. You suck. I hate you. I'd say these words to myself, like, you're never going to do anything better than this person, or you're never going to be enough, whatever. I would say these things internally.
Yeah.
And those start to shape you as well.
Yeah.
And they start to shape how you treat other people, your reactions, and how you treat yourself.
That's right.
So I think this is a very powerful, simple exercise that we've been doing for so many years now that we kind of forget the power of this.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you made this reminder, because I never say those things to myself anymore. It's always like, you're kind, you're loving,
Yes.
you're passionate, you're wise, you're giving, you're caring. I
Yeah.
say these things all the time.
Yeah.
I never even say anything negative.
Yeah, and
ever.
you give yourself patience on the days you're not.
Absolutely.
And that's a hard thing for people because they're supposed to be kind, and one day they're a jerk, and then they're I'm a jerk, and they go back to that old bad
I
label.
suck, yeah.
But it's like what your audience wants to see if you're an influencer is you working through the development of you. They want you. They want to be on that journey with you and see like, oh, I see him or her becoming. Because they're willing to ask the hard questions about themselves and explore who they are. Because if you can't be an influencer and not explore who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, even the great presidents of our time were always in motion of exploring who they are. The great business people. I mean, it's not like Elon Musk has been exactly Elon Musk exactly 10 years ago as he is today. It's like you're seeing this evolution, this change, and sometimes it's a hot mess, and other times you're like, oh. This person's, people want to be on the journey with you as you're exploring who you are. And if you're not exploring who you are, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, the audience is not growing.
It starts to die.
They're not interested.
So true. So get clear on your message, figure out your 3 words, and that's a great start there. Now, the next thing is figuring out your market.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It's
What is a market?
Yeah. Well, one, I don't like that term, especially for guys like you and me who we do like so many walks of life, listen to your show. And my show,
multiple industries and markets.
Yeah, I look at like how you look at the analytics of like when I look at like the Brendon Show podcast, it's like holy crap, all these countries, all these like you can't. If you come to our events, I've gone to your events too. You can't do a demographic run of that audience.
It's not like all 32-year-old male sales executives.
No, and
in the
that's
car industry.
That's the old world of marketing. You had to speak to one specific person. What people don't understand if they've never studied the history of marketing is that. The reason that niche marketing came out, that concept of just identifying one person to talk to, and some people now say, identify your customer avatar. I'm like, no, you're identifying avatars. It's plural. Because the reason that came so popular in marketing back in the day was only for one reason, because in the 20s, sort of the golden age of marketing and advertising, you only had so much budget to run a certain ad on one platform. So you really had to get super niche and narrow. Now, we're able to reach a couple billion people. Now we're able to have broader conversations. So what you want to do with your market is try to understand what are the aspirations of the people I want to serve looking like. It's about the aspirations, not about the demographic.
Yes, it's the mindset.
Yes.
And I always talk about that. Like for me, School of Greatness is not about, the 32-year-old mom with 2 kids.
Right.
It's more of a mindset and a mentality.
Yeah.
And that's what we look for. Someone with a growth mindset.
There you go.
I call them conscious achievers.
Yeah.
People who are looking to achieve in their life, but in a conscious way.
Yeah.
They want to grow personally and they want to impact people around them.
I love that.
If they have that mentality, then you're a part of the community.
Yeah.
And that's who I try to speak to.
Yeah.
But it could be a 16-year-old or a 60-year-old.
Yeah.
It could be people from all over the world, but it's like this conscious, achieving mentality.
I love that.
And that's what I focus on.
I love that. You got to have that. Yeah, you have to have that. And what I tell people all the time is like, if you're not out with your students, your fans, your followers, and you're not really getting to know them, at some point you're going to lose that audience because you just don't know them.
It's true.
You need to know what's in their heart, not their age. You know it in their heart, not every part of their background or where they were raised and everything else like that. That kind of market analysis is overdone, and corporations love to pay for that. And when they do deals with me, they're always like, "Tell me everything about your people," and I'm like, they have the aspiration to go to the next level.
That's it.
For me, that's it. That is my market. I have always, for the last 15 years, marketed and talked to people who were in that transition moment of their life and ready to go to the next level. I didn't speak to those who were just starting. That wasn't my audience. Who didn't know what person. I always went high end in the sense of like, I speak to people who are ready to go to the next level. They've already got one level of, security or like sense of themselves or success. And now they're like, you know what? Next level time. So they're like in that phase where like gearing up,
Yeah.
They're like, here we go. They're not kind of like, oh, I don't feel motivated. I don't get, that wasn't my audience. My market was an aspiration to go to the next level, and I was focused on that. And it's what made, for me, with our brands, like, how did you do all those 7-figure launches, 28 of them? I spoke to that aspiration specifically, so people knew, this is for me.
So if
This is for me.
So in like a 20 seconds, say you were doing a video to attract the aspirational mindset or the heart set of this individual.
Yeah.
And you have a video that spreads out to the world, and you know it's going to attract a certain type of person to come into your offering.
Yeah.
What would you say in 15, 20 seconds, a few key words that would be leading people into kind of where you wanted them to go? So it was the right kind of mindset.
Yeah.
What would you
It's
say?
like, you're somebody who you feel like you've tried everything. You know, you've been at this for years. You don't feel like you've gotten that breakthrough just yet. You're doing good, but there's too many days you don't feel as motivated or as driven as you really want to go to the next level. And you feel like you need some more empowerment to really achieve that next level. Not kind of like just get inspired or motivated, because that can come and go, but rather you're looking for real tactical solutions that will help you earn more, that will help you become more, that will show you like step by step. This is how you reach that next level. And not from my opinion, it's that I've spent 15 years researching the highest performing people on the planet.
Right.
What they do is very specific. And if you're honest, you haven't been very specific. You've been random. And because you're good, you already have some success, you're able to just go through the motions.
Yeah.
But going through the motions is the killer of the high performer.
It's true.
Right? Because
good to great, yeah.
Yes,
It's like,
you can be good, but that's not going to take you to the next level. So I'm going to assume you're already good, but you sense inside that there's a restlessness and there's a struggle there that you don't know what that breakthrough feels like. But you're very aware there's next level. You have a dream, you have something you want to achieve. So let's just dial in your motivation, let's dial in your habits, but let's give you the discipline and the willpower to make it happen.
And that's why you need to go to Influencer 2019.
You know,
he's got this dialed in. He's got the message dialed in, the market, the message dialed in.
I'm fired up being around you all the time, brother,
Love it,
because we both really believe that we can help people do that, because that's where our footsteps have been for 15 years, to help people do this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So get clear on your message, the market. Then there's a method. What does the method mean?
I always love to talk about method with people.
It's like method acting?
Yeah. No, for real. It's like Picasso had a method. Van Gogh had a method. Beethoven had a method. Like, they were thoughtful about the art of what they did. And influencers need to think about that. Like, you thought about, like, I want a podcast that's going to be like this.
Exactly.
And as you hone that in over the years, the podcast got better.
Yeah.
Because you brought more intention to the method, right?
That's true.
Actors who just show up and kind of read the words, not good. But the greats, they're so thoughtful about the turn of the phrase and how they're going to do this, right? The great musician, the great artist, they obsess about the actual art of the thing. Because, again, just showing up, especially when you're good, it's going to limit you. Now you want to be more intentional and say, what is this? It's like I've shared with you before, having the blessing of working with Oprah, she starts meetings by asking, what's our intention here? Like, greatness requires a lot of intention.
It does. It doesn't just happen by showing up.
Yeah.
You got to get clear on the results and the experience you want to create.
Yeah, you see a really high achieving influencer do a photo shoot, way different than somebody who's not high achieving.
Yeah.
The intention in the placement of things, of where this goes and how this
closing
works,
everything.
That's method. That's like bringing art to the method. Like when I wrote Motivation Manifesto, I was like, okay, I'm going to write a book that's never been written before in its tone that hasn't been seen in hundreds of years. I was like, how do I figure that? I'm like, it was an art project.
Yeah.
If what you are doing as an influencer doesn't feel like an art project, you're just simply doing it wrong. And you're going to burn out and you're going to quit.
So give me examples of methods for someone like a Rachel Hollis and a Jay Shetty.
Yeah.
What's like their method from your point of view?
Yeah, Jay's super intentional about his videos. Like I got to sit him down and we did an influencer day with him, and I asked him like 40 questions. How do you do these videos? He's intentional from when the video is changing, to the tone of the music and when it's lifting, to when other people appear in the video versus just him. He's intentional about the length of the video. He's intentional about what day the video is posted.
Yeah,
he's made
time, everything.
Because what most people do, slop it together, throw it up. He's like really try to dial it down to a very specific process that draws emotion from people. And so that's a method.
Yep.
You know.
And his thing is viral video.
Yes.
It's artistic viral video that creates an emotional feeling for someone. It's not just like this scientific videos.
Yeah.
Or how-to videos necessarily.
Yes.
It's like an emotional feeling that people want to watch and share.
And you've thought that too as well. That's why you've got hundreds of millions of views.
Absolutely.
And it's just like, versus guys like me who sometimes just put up a very inspiring video, but we didn't put the B-roll in. We didn't put the music go up and down. We didn't clip it at the right spot. So
It's a different method.
Same, exactly. Different method, different results.
Yeah.
And to those who put more into the method, they win. They're the better the artists. Like an influencer has to understand you are in the art of impacting people. And if you're in the art of impacting people, you better focus on the art as much as the impact. You know
That's really good.
Yeah.
What about someone like a Rachel Hollis? You know, someone who's skyrocketed over the last year and a half that seemed like came from nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? We know that she's been working for 7 years, written 5 or 6 books, and had a successful blog in a different space, but just boom, shot up, one of the biggest selling books of the year, behind I think Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like overnight.
Yeah.
Like this influencer with millions of followers and huge business within a year, quickly, documentary, books now.
She's great.
What would be the method for someone like that you see? Or is it kind of more...
No, it's again, it starts with being intentional about the art and what you're doing. You know,
about your message.
Yeah, I mean, she still sits down every single morning. She writes down, here's what my dreams, here's what my goal is, or here's what I'm going to do. You know, she came out to this before everything really, really took off. She came out to the house, and we sat down together, and it was so clear. She was asking me questions about where her career could go that were really thoughtful. And people don't see that all the times because she might just post, you know, here's what I'm wearing today, or here's a picture of the kids. But she's really thoughtful about where her career is going, and she's super thoughtful about talking to the women in her market from a place that she's been there. Like, she gets it. She knows that woman, she knows that person's experience, and she's going to verbalize that. And she's very thoughtful about the words she uses to connect. Because the part of the biggest method in influencing is being very artful about your messaging.
It's true.
She doesn't say a lot of things over here, but she says these things over here all the time.
Over and over again. It's like a formula. It's like every 6 posts you see this, you know, another kid photo that's talking about this something different. You know?
Yeah. So she's always in the audience's mind and using the words they use and describing the feelings they have. She's also, part of her method, her real art, is her vulnerability.
Yeah.
To say, you know, start a book, I peed my pants, like literally, you know, she, you know, this person dumped me, you know, I hated myself because I was like this.
I almost got divorced.
Yes, that takes a lot of
body
intention to go, you know, I'm going to reveal some things here that I'm not comfortable with, just like you did with Mask of Masculinity. That was guts. That took a lot of art versus just saying, hey, here's you know, let me tell you guys this. It's like, no, I'm going to reveal this story and this vulnerability. That's art. And what people don't realize is the greatest artists of all time were incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah.
As much as they were telling you what to do. We love Bob Dylan, not just because he told us what to do and he, you know, made us want to throw our hands in the air and like march or get fired up. It was the vulnerability of the journey. That's why we love Kerouac. That's why we love Emerson. That's why we love some of the real greats, is because they were thoughtful about sharing insight into their pain. Because people, you know, the influencers who fail always are bright and shiny. And they don't realize a lot of art does come from pain. And a lot of the messages that actually does help people, you know, is acknowledging things. Like for years, I didn't want to tell people that at the beginning of my career I went bankrupt. I told them how much I struggled and it was hard and I had to get out of my own way and all these other things, but I didn't want to use the word bankrupt. I was like, oh God, you know, because that was just like, here I am teaching people stuff, but I had this huge struggle. And I was like, no, and one day I just said, that just happened. So let me describe what had happened and not be afraid of it. I wouldn't know from that moment we would go on to build, you know, everything that we built by any means, but I wanted to avoid that because it was so painful to me. And at some point, real artists connect to the pain and they give it voice, verbalization, or symbols.
Yeah. The greatest songs are not just like fairy tales. You know, there might be a beautiful ending, but it's also like some darkness and struggle in there as well.
Yeah.
And that's what you can do in your business or as an influencer.
You know what the greatest art there always comes down to being, almost always the method, is you learning to fight for who you are.
Ooh.
Because right now, you think about the biggest memes that we see right now, it's always like, don't let them judge you, don't let them tell you down, don't let them tear you down, don't let them hate on you, don't let them stop you. And that whole, what's central to that, the architecture of that actual messaging is live your life, show your truth, be who you really are, not what everyone else expects you to be. And that's what always comes back to the message again. You are the message. And if you keep dampening yourself based on what other people tell you to be or how you're supposed to be, then all of a sudden one day you wake up unfulfilled. And you wake up unfulfilled, guess what? Not easy to be motivated. Not easy to be motivated, then guess what? You're not going to create the content, the curriculum, the products, the programs, the business. Because, some people look at us sometimes and they're like, oh, well, he just does a podcast. They have no idea you have this empire behind that. Right? People go, oh, Brendon does, what is he? He does some email. He's big on Facebook with quotes. Okay. And they have no idea of a huge, we've 200 employees across my brands.
Yeah.
It's like the impact that we've had, let alone just what I do. It's all the other people we've mentored and, inspired, that can't come from a place of me being unfulfilled.
That's right.
I have to work so hard to be a happy, fulfilled, motivated, disciplined man so that I can have that perpetuate across the brands and the business.
That's it.
Yeah.
What would you say is your method then? And has it changed over the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Is it okay to change your method?
Yeah, I think it always does. I mean, no actor does a movie the same way. And if they do, you're tired of them.
Right.
I think it's a tremendous amount of diligence in sitting down and asking, what is it I want to convey here, and how do I want to do it in a way that's unique to me and different in the market? So what do I want to convey? How is it unique to me? How is it different than the market? And so my greatest art piece so far was Motivation Manifesto. You read that and you're like, I've never read a book like this my entire life.
Yeah.
It's written like it's, from the founding fathers of our country kind of tone. It reads a little like the 1700s, but it punches you in the face every page.
To be or not to be.
Yeah. It's like such a hard, it's like you read it and you're like, whoa, I really got to focus on these words here. This guy, there's no fat in that entire book. There's not one word you could take out. It's just, I worked so diligently on that. And I think what that was an evolution of me saying, I don't want to just create books to sell books, to make money, and to inspire people in this specific way. I want to be challenged in my own artistic process.
Yep.
I want to push the boundaries of what my art can be. I don't know how to write a book like this. It's not even my tone. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
High Performance Habits. I've never done a full-scale psychological science research-based book. And I was like,
you went deep in that, like 2 years of research. 3 years of research.
3 years of pretty much every day of my life.
You didn't talk to anyone. You were just like in the hole.
Yeah, in the hole. The largest study ever done on high performers, even to this day, no one's beat it, right? 2 million plus data points, people from 190 countries. We had all these academics looking at my research, trying to make sure that we got our correlations right and our variables right and all these other things. Like, I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But that was an evolution of me getting better and stronger and more nuanced at what I was doing.
Wow.
And I tell people, you're in trouble if you keep going through the motions.
Yes.
The more you go through the motions, the more you get miserable about the work. The more you're intentional and you challenge yourself to push your boundaries, the more you'll stay alive.
Yeah. What's the personal development quote by every famous personal development person, which is just like everything great is on the other side of fear or your comfort zone?
Yeah, that's right.
So you've got to constantly, it sucks because you're going to get, it's good and it's bad because you get in the groove, you build this momentum of something that you're good at.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I've mastered this skill and
Yeah.
look at all the growth I'm gaining from this. But over a certain period of time, you're like, this is getting easy now.
Yeah.
And you have to constantly challenge yourself.
Yes.
And force a challenge because, well, you could just live off of this easy money, this easy success,
Yeah.
and stay there for a couple of years. But guys like me and you and the people that we hang out with are constantly reinventing.
Yeah, and pushing us.
And it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not, and sometimes when you reinvent, this is the challenging thing that people don't realize. It's like you reinvent and put energy on something new, then the thing that was doing really well and making money over here, it kind of goes down a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
And you had something for years, that was making you lots of money. And now you're reinventing it into a new model with influencer event coming up.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this thing's been working for, 6, 7, 8 years, like making
10 years.
Making millions of dollars a year, impacting the lives of tens of thousands of people every year.
Yeah.
Why change this thing?
This is Experts Academy.
It's not broke. Why are you going to fix it? You know what I mean? It's like, let's keep just doing the same thing
People
forever.
think we're crazy doing this a little bit.
Of course.
So he's referencing Experts Academy. Experts Academy is the biggest to this day.
People love it.
Yeah.
People
it's the marketing trainer.
love it.
It's the marketing trainer for all thought leaders. The biggest, the best.
People have built multi-million-dollar businesses just off of coming there and implementing this information.
There were years where 65% of the New York Times bestseller list in the nonfiction category were Experts Academy graduates. It was like we taught the whole industry. How do you do books? How do you do seminars? How do you do online courses? How do you do subscriptions?
How do you build your following?
How do you build the following? But we really focus on the business model. But we were talking to people who were experts or who identified as thought leaders. These days, people don't really see themselves as experts in many areas, and many people don't think of themselves as a thought leader yet.
They're like, I was just a writer.
Now I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
And it's like, great, okay, then I've got to change. Like, we have to adapt. Like, okay, it's a new phrase, it's a new language, but here they have to learn the same business models and skills. So yeah, we're changing it up, and I think that the willingness to change it up is so important in the method, because I just tell people all the time, if you are miserable, you have to know that neuroscience lets us know that one of the biggest things that lights our brain up is novelty.
It's true.
Like difference.
Mystery, novelty,
yes.
something new.
And listen, everyone go through emotions for 3 or 4 years and be like, oh, phew. It's like sometimes when you make it, it's like, oh, let's just do this for a couple of years. Let's take a breath. And I'm like, everybody goes through that. That's great.
Yeah.
But if that goes on for too long, you become miserable. And then something has to break or challenge inside or in your market or in your business. And you go, we need to change, we need to grow, we need to transition. And that's when the next level stuff comes up.
That's it.
It's time to go to the next level.
That's why I think it's always important to be focusing and doubling down on what's working, and also like working on things in the pipeline that are going to come out in a year, 2 years. You know, I've been working on this documentary for a couple of years. It's
which is awesome, by the way.
Did you see the whole thing yet?
Yes, I was going to tell you that later.
You're amazing at it, dude.
Thank you. No, funny thing
You're
is,
great in it, right?
I totally didn't realize even.
You're in it.
It was great. I appreciate it. I didn't. I was just there to compliment you, and they asked me all these other questions. I thought I was doing a testimonial for you, essentially, because I just wanted to speak and share how much I admire who you are and what you do, and it turned into this wonderful interview they did. And
the story was powerful. You shared.
Thank you.
It's really powerful in the movie too.
Yeah,
I'm excited for people to watch it when it comes out. I'll let you guys know in the future.
You stretching to do that. You stretching to do a documentary.
It's just like you never did this like manifesto book thing, and you never did the high performance research thing. I never done the movie thing.
Yeah.
No clue what I was doing. But you find the right people, you find the experts, you work on your struggles, and you become better at it, and that's what we've been doing, man.
That's it.
But I think it's important because it gives you something new to kind of reach for every couple of years.
Yeah, that's it.
But don't let go of everything right away and say, well, I'm just going to switch everything. Like, use the momentum you've been building.
Yeah.
Double down on certain things that are bringing in revenue. We're going to talk about the model next. To make sure that you can have the resources to keep impacting people and keep creating and things like that. So what does the model mean? Is this the business model? Is this how you make money?
Yeah, how do you monetize?
What should be people thinking about as influencers right now and over the next couple of years as a business model? And maybe you can give a couple examples and then also talk about a little bit of your model.
I'd say first, if you're starting in this space and you're coming from that heart-centered, service-driven place, which is where you and I both came from too. Yep. Everyone starts, if their heart's in the right place, they're like, I just want to give away free. I don't want to charge people. I don't want to be a jerk. I don't want to do business. It's like, no, you're doing a disservice if you don't build a business. And here's the thing. Often people don't pay attention unless they pay. You want to create a real transformation in people's lives, they have to invest something. They have to give something there. But I also say, listen, especially to the new folks, sometimes I go, hey, listen, kid, I love you. But since you're so smart and you know everything, you don't need to make money, can you show me one major influencer, thought leader, person you admire today? One. Show me one who hasn't focused on building their brand and business. Show me one. Oprah didn't care about making money? She's changed a lot of people's lives. One of the richest ladies in the world. I've been at a ranch up in Maui.
Nice.
You can't even call it a ranch. It's the top of Maui. It's like It's like I've been at her other homes. It's like trust me, she cares about business, and she's built a team to care about business because she knew she could reach more people. Find me one influencer, like a major one, like an OG. Like,
what they're like, well, this activist that's been like a nonprofit that's like changing.
That was in that movie that made $15 million for them, they banked away. You know, so it's like you're just not. I mean, Tom Shoe, you had him here, right? He's still. He knew if he doesn't sell this shoe, we don't give shoes. Yeah. So you cannot find a major influencer. No one has that's what I tell people. Always notice what's working. Why is it every major influencer focused on their business? Yeah. Why? Because they cared enough about their people that they wanted to be there for them.
And most of these people weren't good at business in the beginning.
Right.
They were talented, they were an artist, they were an actor, they were, a messenger of something, but they weren't necessarily talented in the business. This is not something that comes easy to people. Right. You're gonna have to learn it.
That's it.
You're gonna have to apply it. This is why you create so many trainings on this. You're gonna need to find great people on your team to support you. Because maybe you don't wanna build the model yourself. and you got to hire someone.
That's right.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
But either way, you're going to have to do it eventually.
You're going to have to do it eventually.
If you want to sustain this as a lifestyle and as a career and something that can give you freedom financially.
Yeah. I've been blessed now, to kind of be in the business as a mentor for people. For 16 years, the biggest names have come to me, especially this last decade. Wow. And none of them ever said, I wish I hadn't worked on building my business earlier.
Yeah.
They always say, you know what? I should have focused on the business earlier. It would have given me more freedom. It would have given me more team. It would have given me more capabilities to build and scale and do those art projects that I wanted to do that didn't make any financial sense. Yeah. It's like, I always tell people, you want like the freedom to do your art, have the financial resources that you have the freedom to do your art.
Yeah.
So in our industry, there's so many different models. Most people are focused on the sponsorship and the brand model, and that shouldn't account for 10%.
Typical influencers who have a following,
Yeah.
they're making money off sponsorships.
Yeah. And if that's more than 10% of your revenue, what you haven't accepted yet as a business person is what you have is a busy job that other people pay you for. And if they don't pay you anymore, you're fired. You don't have.
Right.
You don't have.
Or if your following goes down,
you don't have a freedom. You don't have. You have no. You might. There's a difference between having a business and earning money for individual contributions. Mm-hmm. Right? Just acknowledge what you have. Oh, when I do this, I earn money. That means you basically have a job for other people who are in control.
Yeah.
A business
waiting for them to like say, here you go.
Yeah, a business runs while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
For 10 years of my life, I've had evergreen campaigns so on average, if I stopped working right now, we make the same amount of money for 3 years.
Yeah.
If I stop working right now, for 3 years, same amount of revenue. That's crazy. Why? Because I built a business, and it was like, I need to build some kind of automated processes that if I'm sleeping, I'm still earning. The business is earning. That's what a business is. It's like a business is automated process that earn even if you aren't doing everything in it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have a very lucrative hobby. You have lucrative individual efforts, but you're selling yourself short.
Or you're a hired talent.
Yeah, you're a hired talent. That's a great way to put it.
You're a hired talent.
You're a hired talent.
And by the way, you can make a lot of money doing that.
Yes, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But again, let's have some aspirational figures. Tell me one aspirational. What was Kylie Jenner sitting there going, "Oh, I'll just be a hired gun all the time." No, she's like, "I'm going to build my own line,
an empire."
Why would I do that? Because that's called smart. And so
people buy from me.
Yes,
they're buying from me by a sponsorship post. They might as well buy my own product.
You got to build a business, and so in our industry, there's so many different ways to do that because there's so many different things to sell.
Mm-hmm. What are the different main ways that you would recommend?
I always tell influencers, make sure you get something digital running in the background, selling all the time. My favorite thing, you have to have digital sales and subscriptions these days.
So that could be course.
Yeah, so
digital books.
My number one thing go-to for most people is make sure you have a subscription program.
Yep.
That means people give you they give you money every single month for access to your content library or to new content. So for example, you and me, we both go live every month.
Yep.
And we charge people to attend that live.
That's it.
And for the library of the other recordings of previous months.
That's it.
And that model, it's always running.
It's game changing.
And so that gives you a budget each month.
Yeah.
Now the only issue with that is you have to show up each month to keep doing stuff, right? So that's just one model.
Still got to put energy into it.
Still got to put energy, but that's something that's buildable and scalable. It gives you things like monthly recurring revenue, MRR, which people really care about when evaluating your business.
Yep.
It allows you to have metrics with your team to go, oh, how many new people do we have in? How many did we lose? Let's do better at both of those things to earn more. Mm-hmm. So I love that. Digital sales, you've got anything from online courses to charging people from to access to libraries, to webinars, to
coaching, online coaching, right?
Online coaching, live or virtual. You have the ability to do seminars, workshops, events, retreats, books, PDFs. I mean, still to this day. Audio programs. I don't know if you ever saw our big campaign. We put 100 episodes of one of my podcasts on a thumb drive.
That was the greatest campaign.
Thank you.
So good. You were running that for like 6 months.
That thing was just
crushing,
smashing. We sold a thumb drive for $7 with all our audios on it, our best picked audios. People went crazy for that. We've sold swag and things like that, but we sell a lot of book packages. We sell a planner. So you've got products and swag. You've got live events and experiences, and then you have digital sales, content. And it's about figuring out, well, which ones do you love to create and which ones work for your model and your message. It doesn't work for everybody. like we were talking about Tony earlier, Tony Robbins, he doesn't have much of a membership program because his method, his passion is being on stage.
Yeah.
And so you also have to understand everyone's got a different passion or a different way of letting their method shine. Like for a lot of my friends, they're like, wait, you do online courses? I go, yeah. You do 5-week online courses? I go, yeah. They go, and each module is 2 hours long. Like my courses are these huge, comprehensive, like major
Trainings.
curriculum.
Yeah.
I don't do short courses. Other people, they love a short course. Other people are like, I'm never gonna stand in front of anything and teach anything. That's just not my thing. I just want to have conversations with compelling people. I'm like, well then do that. So this is where the most important thing is. Your message, your method, and how you monetize all have to line up.
And knowing who you are.
That's where it starts from.
When you know who you are.
Know who you are.
Because for me, I don't want to be on stage every 2 weeks like Tony.
Yeah.
You know, I do one big event a year and I speak on, you know, your stage or a few other speaking gigs if they pay me my fee, and it's like,
I'm good.
cool, I'll do that maybe once a month.
Yeah.
You know, maybe. But it's like, I want to sit down and have the intimate conversations.
Yeah, because you're great at that. So this is your method. And if you're on the road all the time, you can't have people here.
And my model used to be a lot of online courses, because that's what I learned in 2008, 2009. That's what was working for me at the time.
Yeah.
Then I just said, when I met with you 2 years ago, you gave me this great feedback of like, well, you need to have recurring. You need to have a subscription.
Yeah.
You can keep doing the launches and the courses if you want, but you've got to have subscription. Then I just said, I'm kind of tired of doing courses.
Yeah.
You know, for me, knowing who I am and what I've already created, it's just a lot of energy for me.
Yeah, they're hard.
They're hard.
People don't appreciate how hard it is.
Hard. So I just said, you know what? We're getting rid of the courses. We're going all in on subscription.
Yeah.
And it's been 2 years. It's been amazing. And we
Change
did
your
that
life.
half-day session with you that was really game changer.
Same thing with Rachel had the same thing. She
Yeah.
was kind of anti-selling something. I said, let me give you all the business reasons to have a subscription. Watch what happens with your business. Watch how you can anticipate revenue. Watch how you can grow and give your team something to grow that you don't have to do everything on.
Yeah.
And it almost takes me 3 or 4 conversations with people, and then they get it. You were like, I got it. And I think you were
actually like 30
month
days.
next.
Yeah.
And we were so pumped. I was like, oh my, Lewis is doing it.
And here's the thing, it wasn't perfect.
Right.
I think a lot of people, and it's evolved. You know, what we started it out as, it's now evolved into something else. And I think a lot of influencers get hung up on everything trying to be perfect when you can just get it out there and start building it, and then make it better as you grow.
That's
you
it.
know, so
My first online courses suck compared to my 28th.
Yeah.
You know, but also when you figure out that model, you gotta work that thing.
Push it.
Like a ton of people come, like they'll take my course and they'll learn, oh, this is how you do courses, and they'll kick out one, they'll promote it one time, and they're like, oh, it didn't work. It's like, you have to stay on the model.
Yeah.
You have to work the model. The number one issue I found with influencers often is they never step into the role of CEO.
They don't want to.
They don't own the fact that they are responsible for the business.
So how?
Because that feels like, well, that's not art, man.
Yeah.
But it's like, so it's like, but if a business owner never goes, I own this business, I own my dream, I am ultimately responsible for this thing growing. Once you accept, I'm responsible for growing this thing, even if you don't push every button, even if you hire the CEO or the CMO or whatever, once you go, I'm responsible for this message, I'm responsible for this business, everything changes. The same thing happened with Oprah. I got brought out to train them when they were in a very significant transition. And her company and I did this course together called Your Next Bold Move. And she was going for her next bold move.
Yeah.
She
Leaving
finished
the
the
talk
show,
show,
left the talk show, launched OWN, the
TV
Oprah Winfrey
network.
Network. Didn't go so good so far. And it was about a year or two, and she talks about this, so it's not speaking out of school here. She spoke about, like, for a year or two, she was just kind of frustrated and angry and like a little bit, or like, well, why isn't this thing taking off? And I worked so hard, why should I be doing it? And then she goes, it's on me. I got to own this. And she stepped right back in, boom, turned that thing around in 2 years. Because she stepped back in. And that's what owners do often, is they kind of step out and they're like, it should be easier now. No, it's never going to be easier now if you care about this thing called scale.
Yeah.
Because scale is going to require difference.
That's it.
And so once you get used to, like, oh, I'm going to do different things to scale, then you stop bemoaning the struggle and the hardship. And this is what I always tell people, you have to honor the struggle involved in building a business. Because if you complain about it, you moan about it, you bemoan it all the time.
It's a job. It's something you don't love.
Yes. Anything you apply hate to quickly dies.
Ooh.
So if you say, I hate doing email marketing,
It's dead.
you're toast, right? I hate doing podcasts, you're toast. Anything you apply hate to dies. And so you have to go, okay, am I honoring the struggle here, allowing the hot mess, but staying in it and owning it? The most important thing influencers must do, I tell them all the time, especially new and really young kids, because I've got a client right now, she's 17. She made $40 million last year.
Making money.
And so her parents hire me because I've been in the industry for a long time to kind of do some mentoring. And I kept saying, it's like, listen, you got to take command.
The 17-year-old.
Telling her, you got to take command. Telling somebody they have to own something, like that, because listen, we all have the same aspirations. We all have 4 aspirations our whole life. Our being goals, like who we want to be as a person and our desire to be congruent with that. Our relating goals, how we want to treat other people and show up with other people. Our creation goals, the things that we want to create, the things that we want to contribute. Like I want to do something, right? I want to do something with my life. That's a creation goal. I want to, do a podcast. That's a creation goal. I want to leave a bunch of money to someone. That's creating a significant, meaningful thing. And then our growth goals, how we want to grow along the way. So we have the same aspirations. So what makes a difference? If everyone has the same types of goals, I want to be a good person who's congruent and proud of myself. I want to relate with other people so there's deep, real, meaningful connections, love, and care. I want to create things that I feel like draw out my passions and make a difference. I want to grow into the best person I can. If we all have that same thing, what's the difference makers? Usually 2 things. Number 1, did you take command? Are you the captain of your ship, or did you just get blown around by everybody else?
Were you responsible?
Yeah, did you take responsibility of that? Did you really take command of your life? Doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. It just means that you own it. And then the other thing is community. The people that you're around, right? Who help support you. Like we became friends because I was like, I can learn a lot from Lewis, and you were always so humble with me, like, hey, how do you do this, Brendon? And we were just both givers. And it's like, that's it. I mean, I don't think we have any competition between us other than I think you're way more athletic and beautiful. but it's like, and a better interviewer than me, times 1,000. But it's like, it's like we deeply care about the community we have. Yeah. But you're here because you were on your sister's couch and one day that wasn't allowed anymore.
Yeah.
And you took command.
That's it.
And everybody has that in their life. So I tell influencers, you have to command. This is a 17-year-old girl. I'm saying, you must command the direction of what you're doing here. You're listening to everybody else. And she's one of these girls who's got all these reps and all these agents and people around her all the time. And I was like, okay, let's sit down. What does it look like to take command of this thing? If it was yours, where's it going? What's happening? And no one talks to her like that. They're all telling her what to do and how she's going to screw it up and how dumb she is because she's 17. And I'm the guy honoring her and going, well, she's created some kind of there's magic here. Let's really empower that. Let's really open that up. Let's let her control and shape and shift that thing. And that's hard for adults to do.
Yeah.
It's hard for parents to do with YouTubers. Out of the top 100 YouTubers, 15 have been real significant clients, and Expert Academy graduates, and they're kind of like, how often that they made 100 videos and made no money. And if they didn't say, I'm going to do this and keep commanding that of themselves, commanding of their will, commanding of their attention, how many of those huge shows would have never had those millions of subscribers? And every one of them I talk to, they always say the same thing. It's like, at some point I took it over. I took back control. It's like I tell people in Motivation Manifesto, you got to reclaim your agenda. You got to reclaim your life's agenda. You got to take command back of that thing again because life sucks it away. Distractions. So
that's true.
Yeah, and the most important thing you can take command of is your business model.
Yeah.
What are we going to do here? Don't wait for other people to tell you how to make the money or the agents to say, we'll go get you the deals. You have to be you have agents. You have to be so actively involved. Otherwise, you get
wait around forever.
You get peelings.
Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, so get clear on the model. There's lots of different models. You talk about this in your courses as well, and you're going to be covering this at Influencer at the event. But there's also mayhem that comes with being an influencer.
You like this framework of the alliteration? Yes. You got message, market, mayhem, model.
Yeah. So there's mayhem that comes with being an influencer. Yeah. What does that mean? So you're telling me that I can't just be an artist and put out my content and I'm going to start making money and everything's going to be happy-go-lucky and work forever?
Yeah. Some of your family's going to hate your success and your following.
Yeah.
You know,
You're gonna get a lot of haters.
Some of your friends are gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing? Who are you? I don't get this. Why are you posing?" You know, some of your girlfriends and your boyfriends are gonna be like, you know, too much time away, or why can't you be more present? Your mind is always on your dreams. You know, people, there will be relationship mayhem when you commit to your dreams, and that's what the universe set up to test if you wanted it or not. Because it's not just the mayhem of like, oh, wow, I got money now, or I'm nervous, because that's always going to be there. Like, I'm nervous right now. I'm talking to Lewis House, right? I'm on a show. There's a wonderful woman over here filming. There's cameras going. I'm like, I'm a little weirded out. I don't do a lot of interviews. I'm great on camera in my studio doing my thing.
Alone.
Yes, here it's new to me. I'm sweating. I'm all nervous. There's always going to be mayhem. There's the internal mayhem of the self-doubt, the fear, the frustration, the lack of motivation and discipline that just upsets us that we all have. But the real mayhem that really messes up people in the influencer space is the relationship mayhem. Your brother don't get you, your spouse doesn't support you, you have a partner who steals, you have somebody who takes advantage of you because all of a sudden now everyone wants something from you. And when everyone wants something from you, there's going to be some, you know, relationship mayhem, there's going to be some distrust, there's going to be there's going to be a lot of problems. And I tell influencers, like, anticipate that. Know that you are going to be challenged. Know that you walk off stage and there's 10 ladies in the audience, right? I walk off stage, there's 4. But you know, no, it's not.
They want something from you, yeah.
Everyone wants something from you, whether it's a business deal or a money or a handshake or a selfie or something. And I joke about it in some ways because it is funny. For a guy from Montana who's awkward, as weird as I am, to get the invitations and the offers, but also like the schemers and the scammers.
Yeah, a lot. It's hard to tell what's true, what's not true, what's like the right opportunity. You also, as an influencer, get an abundance of opportunities.
Yeah.
So the mayhem of hurting people by saying no over and over and over again.
Yes.
That's challenging in itself.
Yeah.
Because you want to say yes. You want to help, you want to be a part of projects, but then if it takes you away from your message, your method, and your model, then you're hurting yourself as an influencer.
Yeah, and I tell people it's like the way through, because there's 2 kinds, right? The internal kind and the external kind, right? The internal self-doubt, struggles, difficulties. The external, the relationships, the business, the turmoil, the chaos of the world. And the way through both of those, the internal kind, is through your own mindset and habits. You've got to do everything you can to dial in your mindset and your habits, from how you think of yourself, to how you take care of your body, to what you focus on each day, to how you reward yourself. Mm-hmm. And the more you dial that stuff in, the less, like, to me, at any given moment, with the size of the brands and the businesses and the teams and the relationships, something's going wrong. You know, something is just not right. So I've got to find the ability to be peaceful and present, the ability to deal with the stress and the challenges, you know, the nervousness, the anxiousness, the anxieties. I've made a life of trying to master that internal world.
And so the mayhem is really, when the mayhem comes, you've got to be mastering your mental health, which is the next thing you talk about, which is everything you've been saying, is like making sure you take care of your health, your habits, your relationships, you're reclaiming your agenda.
Yeah.
Because when we don't reclaim our agenda, we lose our mental health. I feel like.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's when you're like, Yeah.
And so my life is so out of control. I'm like, who let it get out of control? Yeah. Like, let's take some ownership. If mindset and habits can really help with the internal mayhem, with the external mayhem, you need mentors. It's like mindset and mentors can solve a lot of problems.
That's so true.
Right? Mindset and mentors can solve a lot of problems. And the external stuff happens. It's like one of the reasons, you know, we were just with Rachel and Dave in Puerto Rico, and, you know, the reason I met them is she kind of reached out on Instagram and said, she promoted my book, High Force Habits, I didn't even know her. She was just talking about it, and I heard all these people saying, there's this lady talking about your book. But then she had the proactive nature to reach out and say, you know what? I don't know what I don't know. You know, could we get together? And they come up to Portland, and everything they were asking was kind of like, what are we going to run into that we don't know that's happening?
And like, because she seeked out you and a few other key mentors, and you guys guided her and Dave on, here's what's going to happen. Here's what people are going to be asking you for. Here's what you're going to need to look out for. And here's the business model you should be adding in.
Yeah.
You've helped her make multiple 7 figures in 6 short months of just adding in a few things where if she didn't know those things, if she didn't seek out the mentorship from you, she would have been struggling more.
Yeah, and others too. And like you said, she sought out a lot of people, which was really great. And for the record, like, because we are mentioning her and a lot of people a lot because we were just with them at my house, right? Yeah. So it's just a different, like, but no one is taking credit for anything she did or I did or you did.
She's doing the work.
She took command.
She's implementing.
And she got the mentors.
That's it.
Like, I was one of those. She got lots of them. And same with you. Like, you learn.
Everyone on the walls.
I look at all these mentors all around the wall. It's like, and that's what you have to do is your mentors, the people you're around, your community again, they're going to help make sure that as you take command and as you deal with the mayhem of life, you're doing it well. Like, I'm not allowed to screw up a lot.
No.
Because my friends are like, yo, you know, I have a great group of friends. They'd be like, dude, what was this video or what was that? Or I heard you did this, is that true? And they'll like, there's no way, because I've surrounded myself with such quality people, they hold me to a high standard. I want to be a good person for that. And my role model mindset won't let me not do that. So I think mayhem, solve it with good mindset, work on yourself. And give a big shout out to Rachel and Dave who've gone through that huge process. You have done that huge process. And so is Jay, right? All Jay's internal work becomes a reflection of his external successes.
That's it.
All of us.
And when you're a monk for 4 years, that helps you like keep your mental health in check when the mayhem happens.
Help chill out.
And he's doing 2 hours of meditation every morning. He's focused. He's like doing the work. Yeah. He's still doing the work.
Still doing the work.
And I think it allows you to deal with everything. It's all the press, being on Ellen, Today's Show, and billions of video views. And it's like all the mayhem that comes with impacting people, and which we're talking about next is meaning. When you have your message, you want to be an influencer and reach people, and you want to build a meaningful life and a meaningful business, there's going to be a lot of stresses also.
Yeah.
So you got to take care of the mayhem with the mental health. But what does meaning mean for influencers?
Yeah.
And what should we be thinking about as influencers?
I think the first thing is how often people get it wrong as influencers. They're waiting for the day to come where they can finally have satisfaction and fulfillment from their efforts. Oh, when I get to 1 million followers, when I make $1 million, then I can like myself, feel good about myself, enjoy the day, rest peacefully. I'm like, if you can't teach yourself to rest peacefully now, you're screwed when the mayhem really hits. Right?
Yeah.
That's what happened to a lot of people. Like, oh, well, Brendon, you know, I'm so stressed out and so upset. I'm like, now? You haven't even started yet.
Yeah.
I mean, give it 10 years. So you really have to immediately take control of that, including the meaning of your life. It's like you have to train yourself to draw meaning from each day. Each day, you have to train yourself to draw meaning from it, because otherwise, it's just one day after another. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, and I faced my death twice in significant ways. Being in hospital beds, think I'm going to die. Both accidents. And I learned that real reverence for life shows up in the oddest of ways. Real reverence for life is, did you feel this day? Like, did you feel it? Or did you just kind of bumble through, finish it, do the meetings, now you're tired, go to bed? Or did you make yourself feel it? Like, get present, get aware, take that breath, feel the earth, feel your life, feel the blessing of your spirit. And so many people, that happens when they're on their deathbed at the end. I was lucky, I had that as a young man. I got mortality motivation at 19 to realize you gotta have reverence for life. You have to make each day meaningful, do meaningful things, but also draw meaning from it, not later. And some of the most miserable bastards I know are people who literally are waiting for some day to enjoy life. But reverence for life shows up in how you felt the day. Reverence for life shows up in your time management. I tell people all the time, look at all these days you wasted. Don't tell me you appreciate life. A lot of people have a gratitude journal, but you know what shows gratitude? Let me see your calendar. Your gratitude journal, that's a nice reflection. You wanted to talk about real gratitude for life, reverence for life? Show me your calendar.
Did you maximize each day? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Are you actually using your days wisely? Because if time is short, if life is short, then you better be using it wisely. It doesn't mean you need to stack everything in there. It's just like, can I see in your calendar that you're enjoying life? Can I see you're building and growing and taking it seriously? Do you have some time with your family and friends scheduled?
Are you playing? Are you traveling?
Are you playing? Are you enjoying life? Is there some time off in here?
Yeah.
Or is it meeting, business? Like a lot of people, like especially influencers, they wake up, they create content all day, they check their stats, they go to bed. And if that's your life, that's a very unique kind of secret hell.
Mm-hmm. And that goes by pretty quick.
Goes by pretty quick, and the frame is in comparison, right?
Yeah.
It's a unique kind of hell is waking up and doing something every day only to check the stats on it, versus really connecting with the audience, really connecting with why you're doing it. You know, I'm looking above your head here, and you've got some legends up there, including Tony Robbins, who's both of our dear friends, and he's helped us, we've helped him in many ways. And listen, he wouldn't be doing this long if he didn't take deep meaning from the actual work.
Every day. Because it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of energy, 5 days in a row, 12, 15-hour days on stage,
hard.
Not peeing, not eating.
I know.
Does.
Yeah.
You do the same thing, 15 hours a day, no
We do the 2 longest events in the entire industry.
Crazy, man.
And the 2 longest single-led trainer events. And you don't do that unless you make yourself draw meaning, because otherwise what's going to happen is, and what I tell people all the time is like, if you are constantly exhausted, you're not in meaning mode yet. And because when you're in real meaning mode, it won't let you run yourself to exhaustion.
Yeah.
It won't let you do it. It will say,
it's the sustainable fuel.
Yes, it will say, hey man, enjoy this moment for a beat here.
Yeah.
It's when you're going, that means you're not in meaning mode. And because if you're in real meaning mode, it won't let you exhaust yourself.
That's true. That's true. And you can learn all about this at influencermagazine.com. By coming to the event, I'll be there. Brendon will be there.
Yes, I'm so pumped for you to be there.
It's going to be great, man. I've got a few more questions for you, but make sure you guys, if this is resonating with you, if this is connecting and landing for you, then make sure to go to influencermagazine.com right now. Get a few tickets for yourself and friends. It's going to be in October in San Diego.
Yes. The first one ever.
First one ever. It's going to be a game changer.
For influencers, by influencers.
Yes.
It's not for agencies. It's not for VPs of McDonald's and brands. It's for the actual creators who want to understand the business of it all. So it's not like a VidCon where you hang out with fans and that's all cool. This is for the actual influencers in the space, doing the actual work, building the real career and trying to figure out how to build a business and the brand with real tactical instruction versus like conversation.
I love it.
It's like we're trying to elevate the industry, and to elevate the industry, we need to give them more tools and education and a place where they can be together versus hang out. A place where they can actually learn the model versus being pitched something, right? Because you've gone to these other events and it's just like everyone's pitching and then there's all these brand deals trying to happen and everyone's trying to know how, instead of like, hey guys, this is how you do this well. It's like why we got to run together in Puerto Rico. It's like, hey, let's talk about this. Is hard.
It is.
Let's talk about.
And
how
it's
we
constantly changing. So what worked 2 years ago may not work right now.
That's right.
So you've got to constantly adapt and change and evolve. And that's why this is
why
going
we're
to be
making an
important for you.
annual event. Yeah.
I'm curious, why do influencers or anyone deal with self-doubt? When you've achieved a lot of success, why does self-doubt creep in? When you're just starting, why is self-doubt there? And how do we eliminate self-doubt?
Yeah. Self-doubt is one of the first signals that you deeply want to grow. And most people start with self-doubt being a bad thing. I'm like, oh, it's a signal saying, you know what? I'm not yet enough to be able to do that thing I want to do. And that's okay. That's a great acknowledgement. Like, I hope everybody starts every new endeavor doubting their capabilities, doubting their competency, doubting if they know how to do it. The difference is successful people and unsuccessful people and the way they deal with the doubt. Like self-doubt, for if you're like struggling and you're always unsuccessful, it's because self-doubt is stopping you. Successful people, they have the same doubt, but they're exploring it. They're like, oh, and they're acknowledging it. You know what, that's true. I don't yet have the capabilities to do that. So agenda item, go get capabilities to do that. They don't let the doubt stop them. It's when doubt delays you or divides you from other people or destroys your progress that it's a problem.
Yeah.
But it's a good cue to have come up. Because if it never comes up, you'll never say, I don't know. Or you'll never say, I don't know how to do that. Or you'll never raise your hand for help. So self-doubt is a good mechanism in the human experience. It's when it stops you that it's a problem.
Yeah.
And so the goal is to explore it, and the goal is to realize that it should be a cue for you to learn and ask for help. And what most people do, you know what they do? They get self-doubt and they go silent. But in the silence of self-doubt, that's where the suffering is. when you speak it and you share it, say, hey, Lewis, I'm about to do this podcast, man. I've never done something like this.
I have no clue what I'm doing.
When I do this, how do you think through it? Could you coach me and mentor me? That is a proactive way to meet the self-doubt and then overcome it. But if I go silent with it, that's where the suffering and the stopping happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. This one's on love. When do you personally feel the most loved in your life?
With Denise. Yeah, my girl. We met my wife. So she believed in me when no one did. And it's not just because she believed in me, she's just an exceptional human. She's kind, she's thoughtful, she's smart and beautiful, but she also, she just holds good space for other people.
Yeah, she does.
She inhabits a good space in herself because she's at peace with being a good person. And then she's calm and she holds good energy. And it's been hard being married. and what I mean by that is marriage will challenge you so much. And I feel most love though in the marriage as much as it's a challenge, even though everyone who knows us, like we have this, like you've seen us, we are so sweet on each other.
Yes.
But the reason I say it's hard is because, as you know, in 2011, I had a brain injury. And there was a good 2.5 years, I was not good as a husband. And I don't think I was good as a man. And what I mean by that is I was just like, I had anger issues because the brain injury, I hurt, the prefrontal left cortex, I hurt my cerebellum, I hurt my hippocampus, I was having trouble with memory and motion and with controlling my emotions.
Yeah.
And so the calmest guy in a marriage ever all of a sudden was like being angry and like getting upset about the stupidest stuff. And the reason I feel so much depth of love with her now is because we went through that. I really believe love grows in that fertile, what is that phrase? Love grows in that fertile soil of struggle. And we have struggled so much from having nothing to building our lives. She built an amazing business as owning exercise studios, had 30 employees, a great mentor to women. She went through tons of challenges as a business person, as have I. But then that injury brought us really close together.
Wow.
Even though in the short term it was so painful that we survived it, that's where the love has grown so much.
What does every influencer need to be aware of with the partner they choose? Whether a relation, like a dating relationship or a marriage.
Yeah.
What do they need to have in their partner in order to be able to take their influencer message and share it with the world sustainably?
Yeah.
Without too much stress and chaos from the partner.
You know what? That's good.
And
that's
feeling
a good
like,
point.
maybe I shouldn't do this because I'm hurting my partner.
That's right.
I got to dim my light a little bit because I don't want to make them feel insecure. What do you need to look for?
Yeah. Well, first read the chapter in Motivation Manifesto on love, because love is not something that exists in another person, and love is a universal energy that we can tap into, and we don't need it from another person. So it's removing need is the biggest and the hardest breakthrough in all relationships. Removing the need.
For yourself and for the other person.
Yes, not that it's always going to be there. The second big idea is, listen, their permission or understanding is not required for your progress. People tell me all the time, well, she doesn't understand, but I'm like, why do you think she has to understand? Why do we think everyone has to understand intimately our hopes, our dreams, our needs? You probably don't understand theirs. You can seek to understand it, and you should, but it's okay if they don't get it. It's totally okay, because they have their own path. There's a lot of people in our world, you and I, we think like, what are they doing? That's weird. That's not what we would do. But they don't need our permission.
No.
You don't need the permission, the support, the understanding, or the cheerleading of everybody around you to follow your dream. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm in a bad relationship, Brendon, that's why I can't succeed. I'm like, okay, well, one, have some really honest conversations there, please. And a lot of them, and consistently. But then also, if you can't change the relationship, then change your expectations of what that relationship is supposed to give you. Because you don't need, to be an influencer and to be a role model, everybody around you doesn't have to be perfect and cheering you on. In fact, you and I have had a lot of doubt and a lot of haters as we've grown. Matter of fact, I think the bigger you grow and the better you get, the more people will question you and not get it because your messaging is scaling. And so anticipate that not everyone's going to get it. But what I would recommend, if you've got a good person and you're trying to grow together, is just be so diligent about sitting them down and always painting the future. And I don't mean like painting 20 years out. I mean like, okay, honey, it's Sunday. let's look at this week. What's your week look like? What's my week look like? That Sunday check-in to think about where you've been and now where you're going to go is so critical to growth. I mean, I can't even emphasize how important that is. Like, because if I know she's got a challenge on Wednesday, I'm going to be a better husband for her on Wednesday. You know, if she knows I got a big interview, she's going to cheer me on in the morning with text. Like, you can't support each other unless you know what each other is facing in the upcoming next 7 days.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
that's really powerful. What are you most proud of personally in your life, personal life?
Personal life. Oh.
Well, it could be your business too, but what is the thing, if you could say one thing I'm proud of in my life?
Whew.
You've done a lot of things, but.
That's a great question, brother. I would say just consistency. Like, I know that sounds so weird, but like every great thing of my life came from being consistent and congruent, even when it was hard and difficult. Like I would love to say, well, what I'm most proud of personally is my love with my wife, my contributions, my books, but all those things had this consistency of effort behind them. I'm proud of myself for not giving up all of those times, you know, because I wanted to. You know, I'm proud that, you know, I've been a good man to my family and my friends for a really, really long time, with very few exceptions that came mostly from my brain injury. You know, and I feel like I've been consistent all my life except for that period of time when my brain was not working. And you know, Dr. Daniel Amen, who treated me, and thank God for him and a couple other neuroscience guys who got me back on track of just, you know, I wasn't consistently working out or consistently being nice or consistently doing my art or my video. I was really struggling. Making it through that. I'm proud of that, because that was really hard. I mean, I stepped off. I think you know the story, but I'd finished an Experts Academy, got off stage, you know, a couple thousand people out there, and you know they do that thing where you finish and they call you back, you know, and they're like, you go back again, and you thank you, and you go back, and they do it again. 3 times this happens, right? 3 callbacks, and I go off stage, and I didn't feel anything. Didn't feel jubilation, didn't feel joy, didn't feel satisfaction, didn't feel pride, didn't feel like I'd even made a difference. I just didn't, because my brain was hurt and that part of the emotional processing just wasn't working. I just didn't feel anything. And I literally stood there and I'm like, it's time to hang it up. It's like, if I don't feel this anymore, it's time to hang it up. And I really did. I made that decision that day. I was like, I'm gonna hang up the events. And this was 2013 or 14. And it's like, you know, since then, tens of thousands of people have been to our events. But I was going to hang it up. And luckily, I just, sometimes when you know you're hurt or you know you're in pain, that's a good time to tell yourself, let's not make major decisions yet. Let's get some help. Let's try to heal. Let's try to work our way through, and then we'll make these big decisions. And luckily, I had that, a mentor told me that. He's like, well, you know, you're not feeling yourself yet. Maybe don't quit yet. And thank God. So I just stayed at it, stayed consistent in my healing, stayed consistent trying to be the best guy I could, and it turned around.
It paid off,
So
consistency, baby.
I know it's a weird thing.
I think I've never heard that before, but
I know.
it's so true. That's a good thing to be proud of. Because
weird,
I think the hardest way to make a big impact is through being consistent. You can't make a big impact without being consistent in the long term.
Because I'd love to say it was some accolade. I would, for me.
Or your marriage, but it's like it wouldn't be successful marriage without the consistency.
That would have been it. And if she hadn't been consistent.
That's true.
You know, so having the heart of a consistent fighter, warrior, lover, caregiver, brother, friend, worker, artist, that consistent heart, that can really turn into something meaningful.
You talk about sparking joy all the time. What is the thing that brings you the most joy?
Teaching. Just teaching. Like I used to say it's writing because I love to write, but the writing is really, I'm teaching. I love to share. I love to share what I've learned or I've researched or I've seen with people. Teaching is I feel like I'm a teacher at heart. I'm most happy and engaged. Like even during this interview, when we were teaching something, I felt so much more calm. When you were asking about me, I'm like sweating. You know, it's like it's just like
give me the framework.
No, you're doing so great. You know, no, it's just where I feel so comfortable is just sharing and teaching. I was born to teach. I didn't realize that, but I literally had finished my 17th course, And I had a new videographer help me shoot that, and he'd never seen me shoot a course, and he's like, oh my God, he's like, I've never seen someone, because I'll do 2 hours extemporaneous teaching.
Yeah,
I mean, I've prepared, I know my framework, but it's like, how? And I'm like, that, for me, I know that's a gift, because I suck at so many other things. I know that that's a gift.
Yeah.
And so I try to step into that, and every time I just feel like so much of joys in life, we sit around hoping we're gonna get, but when you are in your gift, the joy is just there. Mm-hmm. You don't have to work super hard, it's just there.
It's always there.
Yeah.
If what doesn't happen in your life that will create regret if you don't accomplish or don't live or don't be, it's the end of life, and if you don't do what, you will regret it. Maybe it's something you haven't done yet, maybe it's something that you're doing that you stopped doing. But what's the thing that you will live with the most regret if you don't do?
If I didn't make myself feel the days. Because, achievements come and go. You're a New York Times bestseller. 3 weeks later, you're still in the grind.
Yeah.
Hey, you hit #1 podcast. Okay, we've both done these things, but now we're here. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like regret really comes from you just didn't feel the days. It didn't have to be special. Right, because I've been with a lot of people. I've been in the hospice a long time. I'm doing hospice work after my accident. I wonder if a lot of people went through the same thing I did. And people don't talk about big things at the end with being regret. It's not like, I should have moved to south of France and drank wine. It's like, it's more like, you know what? I wish when we had barbecues in my backyard, I was nicer to my brother. I wish when I was hanging out with my friends, I really saw them smile and I felt it instead of just taking a selfie and walking away. It's like people wish they felt more moments of their life, and I'm aware of that for me too, because I can remember the rocking and rolling years when it was like, whoa. Like now, a lot of people do what we do, but when we started, we were like. Mm-hmm. We were in that OG territory of our of the space that you and I play in. And so I remember when it was just so unique and so crazy, and things were going so fast and so many deals that it felt like 2 or 3 years went by like that, and I didn't even sense them. Yeah. And I'm the guy who's so aware of his mortality because I've faced it so many times. I want to make sure I feel it. I just want to feel it. It's like in Manifesto we talk about learning to hold 2 extra beats as time unfolds. So if you're gonna kiss your lady on your way out the door, hold that kiss for 2 extra seconds. You give somebody a hug, hold that for 2 extra seconds. At the end of the conversation, saying goodbye, just give them a good look in the eye, hold it for 2 extra seconds, and just you don't have to do a tremendous amount of things to feel life more. Sometimes you just have to hold space just a little bit, just a few extra seconds to feel and appreciate it. When you say thank you, don't be like thank you, just thank you, and really. Hold that. Yeah. You're creating meaningful moments in those spaces that you hold. And so I know I'll be really regretful if I didn't do that enough. Yeah. And that's been, it's been my own personal challenge since the brain injury, because it's easy for me not to do that. So I'm just trying every day to make sure I feel the day. I love that. It's something I've been doing for a long time, which is giving long, awkward hugs. Yeah, you are good at that.
It's like hold it for 5 seconds. Yeah. Unfortunately, now I have to be so cautious because of the time of the age we're in.
Yeah, that's right.
Where it's like, I'm almost barely giving a hug.
Yes.
Especially to a female.
Yes.
It's just can I give you a hug? Can I, it's I've got to be very confident. Yeah. So it's finding the joy in the things that, and not being, I don't know.
But it's still, there's other ways to have it. This Facebook example, it's just having that meaningful conversation for an extra 2 minutes.
And not being on your phone during it.
Yeah, it's just I really feel like the ultimate trying difficulties of our time is that people are not feeling the day anymore. Yeah. They are swiping through the day and no real comparison is happening. Emotion of the rise and fall of the videos is happening, but they go to bed at night and they're like, I didn't feel the day. I did a lot. I was distracted a lot. I looked at a lot. I even worked hard, but I'm not feeling this life. And I'm like, you have to make yourself feel this life. You need to learn mindfulness or awareness practices or try meditations or learn how to breathe, but have that intention of I really want to feel it. Because after the most successful people in the world who I've been blessed to work with or coach, they just want to feel it more, man. They are so tired of going through the motions They're so exhausted of doing everything else that everyone else wants, and they just want. I mean, I was with this person about 4 weeks ago. Incredibly, cover a magazine person, and I was visiting the person's house. And I coach this person, and we went for a walk, and I saw this sign that said something about some park, and I said, "Oh, let's go over there." And this person had not been in that park. Now they lived in this neighborhood, really fancy neighborhood, for like 5 years. Had never been to the park. I said, "Well, let's go over to the park." And first thing, "Well, we don't have time." And I said, "You know what? Let me eat in my time today and give you this gift. Let me eat in my time." So, all right. So all we did is we walked, and I said, "Why don't we just walk around the park?" And I know this sounds very Zen master stuff, but I'm from Montana. We're outdoor people, okay? Let's take a stroll. And literally, last night I get this text, and the person's like, "You know what? I've gone to that park every day now." Wow. And the conversation that I know is having in his head is just like, I'm taking a moment of peace for the day, to experience the day and to feel the day a little bit. I tell people all the time, get outside a little bit, breathe a little bit, without your phone. We're living in such a distracted age. The number one problem we really have is people don't feel the day. They don't feel their relationships. So they're looking for this for feeling, and they're lacking life.
Yeah. Feel it.
You gotta feel
every
the day.
day. This is called The Three Truths. You answered it last time, so I'm curious to see what you said. I'll go back and review the last
I know what I said last time. I'm gonna do something different now.
Okay, so
hit me with it.
So imagine it is your last day.
Okay.
You've accomplished everything. You have no regrets. You felt every day. You sparked joy everywhere. You were the influencer of the century. Whatever it is you want to be, you create. And you have an incredible marriage and relationships. It's all there. But you got to take everything with you. All your messages got to come with you, and you can leave behind 3 truths. 3 lessons or experiences you would share with the world. What would you say are yours?
I'm questioning what I said last time. 3 truths. Things gone away. My first one would be, I'd want to carry on the message of my dad. That's a big one for me. Mm-hmm. And that message was, my dad basically taught us the same 7 things. And I know this is cheating a little bit because there's multiple things here, but it's
okay.
Be yourself. Be honest. Do your best. Treat people with respect. Take care of your family. Be a good citizen. Follow your dreams. It's one of the things I'm most proud about in my career was that the quote, I've created quote cards since literally day one. And my most popular quote of all time was those 7 things my dad taught me.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, like 37 million times.
That's powerful.
That was just so huge. So I'm really proud of that. I want to share the truth that's my life, but the message behind that is somebody mentored you and somebody inspired you and you had a good parent or family or caregiver or somebody. One of the truths is, if they're going to take away everything else, make sure you pass on their message. We live in a time where our elderly are discounted and thrown away in these homes and forgotten. We live in a time where the wisdom of previous generations is completely lost to us because we're so fascinated by innovation and newness that I really believe we've got to have kind of resurrection of this feeling of passing on values and the wisdom from our parents or grandparents or somebody. So I'm like, that would be a truth I like to give. Is like, it's part of your destiny is to carry on something from a previous generation. Mm-hmm. And it used to be just genes and genetics, but now I think it's message and values. And that would be one truth. Another truth is that you are so desperately in need of love, and you're the only one who's going to grant it.
Wow. Yeah.
Everyone is so desperately in need of love, and they think it's going to come from some external thing, but it's going to first come from an allowance and an opening and a permission that will actually allow other people to access that same energy with you that will create what feels like a relationship love. But if you can't access that within inside, then you're in trouble. And then the third thing is, nothing will ever be more fulfilling than service.
That's true.
Nothing. nothing you achieve, nothing you give, nothing you make happen. You know, I see people all the time, they hold up their awards. I did this, I'm this. And I'm like, no, your audience did that. The people you were serving did that. You know, realize no one's really self-made. It's the people who they were benefiting that propped them up. And I feel like you're going to really tap into a deeper level of service in your life when you recognize who is being impacted by what you're doing. That's, you know, whether we're talking about influencers or any other person who's trying to be a role model, is really just stay in your heart of service. Yeah. It's hard to be in the heart of service today. Today, we're in the selfish kind of mode, the selfie mode, and we aren't in the heart of service the way we used to be. And I feel like if people knew how fulfilling service was, they'd aim for that as much as aiming for the selfie.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I love those. Those are good, man. You've got an amazing podcast out right now, and influencermagazine.com is the event. If you want to learn more about this and really about high performance, business, mindset, you can follow your podcast. What's it called?
Yeah, you get the Brendon Show, which is my podcast, and then we have HPX, which is the High Performance Experience, which is your episodes are, you know, hopefully be on there someday, but it's a curated show. So we've got lots of the top podcasters that give us their best, most popular episodes. We put them on there because people always say, Brendon, what do you listen to? I'm like, well, I listen to Lewis, I listen to all these guys. So I've been asking them for their episodes. I put them on there so they can listen to them. And yeah, then this event we're doing, I think is going to be a hallmark key turning point for our industry.
October
10th through 12th, San Diego, California.
Influencermagazine.com.
Yeah, Influencer Magazine is where you can get the tickets for it. And the event's just called Influencer.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like we want people to say, you going to Influencer this year? And it goes, oh yeah, because you know that's where you got to go to learn how to do all of this well.
That's it, man. That's it. So get your tickets. Make sure to screenshot this, tag me and Brendon, and let us know what you thought about this. I got a ton of notes. If you're watching the video, I've got my notebook here. So send screenshots to your notes from this. Share with your friends. I think this is really powerful and a great foundation for people who are influencers or those who want to become an influencer. This is a great message. And they can follow you at Brendon Burchard everywhere.
Yeah. Instagram. At Brendon Burchard fan on Facebook, 5 million in that community, and at Brendon Burchard on Instagram, which I really enjoy.
It's so much fun.
I'm enjoying it.
You did a good job.
Right now.
Yeah, you did a great job. I want to acknowledge you, Brendon, for being an incredible friend.
Thanks, man.
You know, the first time I interviewed you, I said I was apologizing for judging you for so many years. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that was super awkward. Now I remember why I'm sweating. I have an association to that.
But man, it's been amazing the last couple of years just building a friendship with you.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
And you never ask for anything. You never want anything. You are the epitome of service to so many people, to the biggest influencers, into your audience.
Thanks, man.
And that's really inspiring, man. So I acknowledge you for just the consistency that you show up with as a friend to so many people, putting on these great events, creating great products, podcasts, these masterminds that you spend all your money on doing, and make sure you take care of all of us. You are a great role model to me and to so many people. So I acknowledge you for your love and the joy that you always bring, man. You're always gonna have joy when you're around Brendon Burchard. Influencermagazine.com to get your tickets. Come to Influencer. Check out the podcast that Brendon runs. Final questions. What's your definition of greatness?
Oh my gosh. I forgot you did that. I thought we were done. Definition of greatness. It's evolving. I think the older I get, the more the definition of greatness is entirely tied to the concept of service.
Yeah, me too.
More and more. And I've always believed that, but I think it is the ability to demand of yourself and command your mind and your body and your day to do something that's meaningful for other people. Because that's what's great, right? You can be good just doing stuff for yourself, but you become great when you do things for other people.
Brendon Burchard, thanks, brother.
My brother, thanks for having me, man.
Of course, man.
So good.
Powerful. If you're looking for more greatness in your life, make sure to check out this video right here. And also check out our free PDF, The 3 Secrets to Unlock the Power of Your Mind to help you change your life. Download it right here.
Whether it's a house or investments, my point to you guys is take your money seriously. Once you take your money seriously and you put some time in it, whether it's this book or wherever you want to get your information, you're going to be better off for it. You don't want to delegate this to somebody else. I want you to understand it.